Hello and welcome to the channel. Be sure to stick around to see how you can win $1,000 every week. It's going to be real quick, real easy. All you do is comment, subscribe, and share the video on your favorite social media. It doesn't matter where you share it, as long as you do share it, you'll be entered to win that $1,000 below. Alright, and on to the next one for the entitled parents. This entitled mom thinks that she can just kill her dying son because the books someone else gave him are satanic. Let's get to it. A bit of backstory. I'm in a D&D group with a couple of friends from nearby, and one of the members of the group was a kid who was about 15 years old. He's a really sweet kid, likes helping other people out, and he's a big fan of Dungeons & Dragons. He also has cancer in both of his lungs. He's from a religious family that basically forces him to act pure while he's in their sight. The mom is WBC level rabid, while the dad is just a sensible person who tries to get him to be a good kid. When he's out of sight of his parents, he just does normal teen stuff. Because of his mom, the only books he was allowed to own were Christian books and Bibles. He joined our group mainly as a way to escape his home life and his mom. A couple of weeks ago, the cancer in his lungs started to get to him, so he was taken to a hospital by his parents. He contacted me about this a day after he was taken to the hospital, stating that he wanted a monster manual as his last wish. Stating that he was tired of reading the same things, I bought him the book from Barnes & Noble, but considering that he's dying, I got him Volo's Guide to Monsters and Mordecai, Tome of Foes, stacked on top of that. The next day, which was around his birthday, he was still in the hospital, so I bought him the books as a gift. After he blew out the candles, we had a cake and started opening gifts. Mine was the first to be opened. Now, seeing what they were, he immediately got his homogeneous grin on his face and hugged me. Meanwhile, the mom stared down at the books with a look of pure disgust, while the husband staring at her with a weary look in his eyes. She picks up one of the books and relights one of the candles and holds the damn book over it to try and set it on fire. I managed to stop her and demand, "What the fuck are you doing?" He asked me to get those books, and I'm not going to let you take them away. His mother simply stared me down and said something along the lines of the books being sinful, satanic, and full of evil, that her son had no business with them. I retort and say that her son can read whatever he wants and that she shouldn't have to force him to be Christian. She starts getting red in the face and yelling at me and essentially forcing children to believe in God from a young age. I state that I'm Baptist, which I am, and that faith in God is a matter between God and the individual, which is my belief. She turns red all over and actively starts to try and destroy the books, with me, my friend, and her husband trying to stop her. At one point, I shouted, "Would God want you to do this? To restrict your dying son's freedom of expression?" right in her face. This just sets her fucking ablaze. She tosses the books aside and starts to strangle her son. And her husband calls security immediately when she does this. Security get here within about a minute or two of us trying to pry the crazy lady off of her son and drag her away, with her shouting that we're all catamites to the devil. Both her husband and my friend charge her with child abuse, assault, and attempted murder. The trial's still going, and I'll try to update this post as the trial goes on. Alright, so if anyone's wondering what happened to this mother after the trial, here we go. The trial was almost a disaster, absolutely a complete disaster. Me, him, and her husband all prosecuted against her. The moment she saw us, she tried to tackle us, shouting something about divine retribution. But the officers restrained her. During the whole thing, she kept pinning the blame on me and him, calling us corrupted by sin. Needless to say, she was pronounced guilty of all 3 charges from earlier. The moment she heard this, she went absolute apeshit and tried to attack the judge, but the officers tased her to the floor. Now she'll be serving a good 20 years for the other 3 charges, with 10 more on top of assaulting a court official. Once again, thank you everyone for the support you guys gave us. We'll see you in the next reading. So, first on that reflection, what the hell? How crazy, how psycho do you have to be to try and strangle your own son in the hospital bed? Now, Let's not even talk about the whole euthanasia and things like that. That's the topic that we're not going to get into at this point. But strangling your own son because someone basically triggered you into not wanting him to have a book about a game that you know that he's playing. So to be clear, the mom knows that he's playing this game. At least I would assume that she knows. And that she's okay with that. But at the same time, once he gets a book that relates to that subject that he enjoys and that he's having a fun time with, taking him off of his dying life and giving him something else to focus on, she has to do this, try to light the book on fire in the hospital. Now that's some next level stuff right there. Now, what would you do if someone did this in front of you? Would you just watch them light the book on fire? Especially if you gave the book to someone, whether or not it's religious or not for you. Would you just let someone light a gift on fire that you just gave to some dying kid? That's absolutely horrible. This one's going to be about someone claiming that they have the right to poison their child. So, I'm allergic to fish and seafood. It's not an anaphylactic type of allergy, thank goodness. So, I'm not going to die if I eat some, but I do throw up, have a stomach ache, and a massive headache for a few hours. Enough fish or seafood, and I break out in small red hives over my arms. My mother didn't believe it, and as a child, I couldn't stand up to her properly. She forced me to eat stuff with seafood or fish in it to prove I wasn't allergic, and then ignored me when I was sick. One day, she held a dinner party. I was dressed up beautifully and trotted out to parade before the guests. At the time, I was about 9, precocious for my age, and absolutely fed up with my mother making me sick. When she held out a fish cutlet, fish cooked with vegetables, rolled into a ball, covered in batter, and fried, for me to eat. I saw my chance. I can't eat that. I'm allergic to fish. No, you're not. Eat it. I'm allergic. I'll throw up. Now, no Asian mother will back down in front of guests for fear of looking like she can't discipline her child. My mother grabbed the fish cutlet, shoved it into my mouth, and said in her most firm voice of command, "Eat." So, I ate it. Cut to about 10 minutes later, I go up to my mother and tug on her sari to get attention. I don't feel well. Blech. I vomited on her right there, on the expensive carpet in full view of all the guests. My mother has a reputation for being a kind, generous, charitable, and very religious woman. So in front of all the guests, she couldn't do anything except act sympathetic and send me off to bed to recover. She never made me eat fish or seafood again. So down to some of the comments of what people were saying about this. One person is saying that the woman just got what was coming to her. She doesn't understand why people can't wrap their heads around others having allergies. Another user says, my mom forgets and refuses to accept that I have a fruit allergy every time I'm visiting. Every time. Even my mother-in-law makes exceptions for me by not mixing fruit into food and leaving it in a bowl for others to mix themselves. Now, that sounds like a good mother-in-law. How could your own mom not do that? Like, how do they not accept that? How do they not comprehend that someone's gonna have an allergy to something? Like, for myself, I have allergies. I understand that if I eat a certain food or a certain medicine that I might just drop dead. And I don't want that to happen, and I would hope that my family don't want that to happen either. But maybe I'll be on Reddit one day complaining that I just got poisoned and I'm almost dead. Alright, thank you for watching the video all the way through. Be sure to like to see more videos like this. Be sure to comment, subscribe, and share the video on your favorite social media if you want to be entered to win that $1,000. On top of the random giveaway, we're also going to be having everyone submit their stories in the comments to win another $100 if your story is chosen, and that'll be given via PayPal or Venmo, and you'll also be contacted in the next video when that comes out if you're chosen. Once again, be sure to subscribe and like. See you later.